purpose of assessment for the teacher is to be able to track what students are learning, what they're learning well, what they're struggling with slightly, and what they need the most help on, so the students can. I think for students, the assessments should be the exact same purpose. We just don't do a very good job of investing students in understanding that tests are their way of proving, are a way of proving to themselves that they are masters of certain knowledge.
Teacher and the student.
The purpose of assessment is to see where a student is at. It's also for the teacher to see where the teacher is at in terms of instruction. So you want a student to be at a certain place. You predetermine what that place is before you start teaching. And so when you use assessment, you try to determine where that student is at, where you desire for them to be, and where they are in that process.
And the student.
The purpose of assessment, both for the teacher and for the student, at least in my class, assessment serves primarily as a guide for instruction. It allows me to figure out where my students are strong in a correlation with state standards and where my students are lacking in a correlation with state standards. It allows me to re-instruct the areas that my students need to be re-instructed.
I do all kinds of informal assessments throughout the day. So checks for understanding. I might ask the students to clap if they understand a concept. I might call out loud for group responses. I might give them a quick pop quiz. We sometimes play review games to check for understanding. Those are all very informal assessments. Other assessments we use are quizzes. We use tests, we use essays to check assessments for writing and reading comprehension assessments. We use all kinds of different types of questions in our assessments: multiple choice, matching, true-false questions, essays, writing prompts, those kinds of things.
Okay. So there are two major types of assessment. There are formative assessments and summative assessments. And so formative assessments are what we call here at Tinley interims. And so those are 6 tests that are chunked across the year, which track how well you master skills that we teach you in 6 different units. And summative assessments are what you all think of as your unit tests. So your test over your novels, your test over your grammar, so those are summative tests. So they're specific to the content we've just taught you. Where formative assessments are more general, so trying to take what we've taught you and apply it to other things. So the interims are usually harder for them.
We use assessment all over the place. Obviously, we use formative assessments, so assessments along the course of learning during a unit, things like exit tickets, homework, projects throughout the course of a unit, even things like more anecdotal things like rapid fire questions off of vocab, or pulling students to the side and making sure they understand where we're at. And then of course we also do a lot of summative assessments. Unit tests, we do benchmark tests, we do interim tests, and those correlate specifically to standards. And so basically we assess hundreds of times every single day, figuring out exactly where students are.
How does a student benefit from assessments?
I think students benefit a lot from assessments. I don't always think they understand how well they benefit from assessments, but you can't grow until you figure out what you don't know. And so what assessments do is they help people understand what they don't know. Then you are to use that information to get better at what you're trying to do. And so I think at a young age,
you benefit from assessments by knowing that what you have been taught, you have learned, and you understand, and you have those skills, so that you know that the time you've invested to do the homework and study for the test has resulted in proof that you are now a master of those skills and of that content and of that knowledge. So that's why it benefits you. It's proof to yourself that this matters. The work you do is for something. It's worth something.